Welcome. You're listening to Behind the Home Build, a podcast dedicated to all things home building. Whether you're a home builder, home buyer, or something in between, we're here to connect you with the industry experts. My name is Danny Langerman, CEO and Mortgage Loan Originator. With me is my son Riley Langerman, Mortgage Loan Originator. So, Philip, welcome to Behind the Home Build podcast. We appreciate you coming out.
Welcome.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, excited to have you out here. We've been talking about you actually pretty much all morning and stuff too. But before we kind of jump into the staffing and your company and all that good stuff, I want to make note that so you're a Midwestern boy like myself.
I am.
Yeah, so we're from Minnesota.
Yes, sir.
And you've got 8 brothers and sisters, which is sounds like a typical Midwestern family.
Pretty much so, yeah.
Back in the day, don't you know?
Oh, yeah. That's right. That's right. We had a lot of casseroles.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I bet. And Thanksgiving was one of the best holidays to always look forward to because the food is just phenomenal.
Yep. And if you didn't get the first plate, you probably didn't get to eat in the end.
That's right. You have to get it go. Where at Minnesota are you from?
It's from Long Prairie, which is about an hour and a half from Minneapolis in central Minnesota.
Gotcha.
Middle of farm country.
Yes. Yeah. Which is, and that's where you learn to appreciate your love for the outdoors.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So it's definitely a good spot. So out here, you stay busy by a couple of things. You've got a little bit of a cabin and you spend time out there. So what outdoor activities do you like?
You know, everybody asks, what do we do at the cabin? And I say, nothing. It's just our getaway, just like your place in the mountains. Mm-hmm. It's a nice place just to get away and relax and clear your head. We will hike a little bit, not too much, but just to get outside and mess around with moving wood around or shoveling or blowing leaves or whatever. Just being out in nature and not behind a computer. It's cleansing.
Mm-hmm. Get away from the noise a little bit.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not work out there. What it is, it's relaxing is what it is.
That's it. I have somebody plow the snow. I don't have to. So I go there in the winter, and it's nice and clear, and I can walk up to my front door and throw a steak on the grill.
Yeah.
Very cool. Where in the mountains is it?
So it's in Wonderview, which is up Highway 72 from 93 on your way to Netherland.
Okay, very cool.
And we're right around 8,888 feet in elevation.
Okay.
So there's definitely more snow and cold.
Yeah, right there in the Front Range.
Yeah, and it's truly an hour away from pretty much anywhere in Denver. No I-70, it's just an easy commute up there.
Yeah, that's close enough to not have to hit I-70, but far enough to be able to get away. That's pretty cool.
Right. Yep, it works out fantastic. We love it. Take the grandkids there all the time. They're just, they get to run around. I taught them how to pee off the deck, stuff that grandparents do.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
all the good stuff. That's why you buy the place.
That's right.
That's one of the requirements of buying it.
That's right.
Yep, understood. So you get grandkids. Let's give a shout out to the grandkids. What are their names?
Oh, my gosh. So I have Madison, who's 8, James, who is 10, and if you put that together, that's James Madison.
Yeah, interesting.
And then we have Kyra, who just went off to college, and then her little brother, Cole, who started high school.
Oh, fantastic. So 4 of them that keep you busy and make things fun.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So now we go on from the winter to the summer. The other thing that caught my attention, too, is you like your motorcycle rides.
I do. And today I almost broke it out to come here, but I've got a blazer on. So I'm going home and I'm taking it off and I'm going on a ride today.
Are you really?
Absolutely.
So what kind of bike do you have?
I've got a 2003 Harley-Davidson Road King Classic straight out of the box. I haven't done one thing to it. As most motorcycle riders, they pump up the horsepower and put on pipes and everything else. This is literally right out of the box. I haven't done one thing to it. Even when the policeman pulled me over about a month ago, he goes, "Wow, this is a really clean old bike." I didn't get a ticket.
Oh, that's nice. That's real nice. So my brother-in-law and my sister they're part of clubs and Harley clubs in Wisconsin and all. And one of the things that I always give him a hard time about too is when he's riding his Harley, I'm like, "Hey, let me jump on the back." He won't let me on the back. Would you let me on the back with you to ride with you or no?
I had one guy on the back of my bike. He was twice as big as I was. His knuckles were dragging on the ground. The only reason I let him on the back of my bike is because he had a flat tire in the middle of nowhere. And of course, my friend riding next to us had to take a photo of it, and that photo is still alive today. I want that thing to go away.
So what I'm hearing you say is there's no chance I'm riding on the back of your
No,
motorcycle.
no,
I wouldn't let him either.
no. That's for another day in another country,
In another podcast.
in another podcast.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We can make that work. So you moved out to Denver in 1999, from on your way from, sounds like Austin.
Yes.
Okay. Then you made your way here. So kind of give us the background and the story and stuff. I know you worked with a builder down in Austin. You hooked up with another builder here, and then, kind of morph us into, the current company, your Peak Staffing Group that you own right now, and how that all came about.
As I was driving here, I always like to listen to a little loud music just to pump myself up, whether it's for a meeting or an event or whatever. And I was listening to Guns N' Roses' Welcome to the Jungle. And that's kind of where I've been. And I'm still in the jungle finding my way. But I always had an interest in architecture and drawing and design. And that's really where it started for me 42 years ago. I am young. But that's where it all started for me. I like the creativity, the design, and I eventually worked with Scott Felder Homes in Austin, Texas, running the architectural group, and then that became Ryland Homes. And my goal was to transfer up here to Colorado with Ryland Homes. But that was in 99. For those of you who have been around a while, not you, Riley, but for those of you who have been around, 99 wasn't one of the best years in Denver, Colorado. Mm-hmm. So I had always stayed in touch with the owner, John Osborne, at Village Homes. And when we came back for the holidays with my wife and our kids, I always made a point to go have breakfast, coffee, or lunch with John. And he said, well, when you move here, I'll have a position for you. And sure enough, we moved here. My goal was to discover Colorado and not work. And after a month, my wife said, get out of the house.
Time to work.
Time to work. So I had a great conversation with John and Cheryl and the team over there, and they created a growth plan for me, and it was one of the best experiences I ever had. Back in the days, Village Homes' tagline was "the place you want to be," and it was certainly the place you wanted to be. I mean, it was family, it was tight-knit, we all supported each other. The quality of the homes was magnificent. So as I grew past that, came this thing called the Great Recession. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do? I've got 2 kids going to college. So I drank martinis for a month. And then after that, I figured that wasn't going to pay the bills. Mm-hmm. So I went to a Home Depot up in Avon, Colorado, and I ran into one of my construction managers that ran the mountain division for me. And he said, you should work at Home Depot. It's a great place to be. And I said, really? He goes, you won't regret it. So I became an assistant store manager for 5 years with Home Depot during the Great Recession, and it was still fun. I got to work with construction problems, people, manage people, and in the end, my 2 kids graduated from college. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then after that, that's where we rolled into Peak Staffing. Mm-hmm. And Cheryl Schutte, who was one of the owners of Village Homes, contacted me and said, Philip, I bought this franchise called J. Williams Staffing, and I really want it to grow. Can you help me? And I said, no, it's a crazy plan. And she says, no, it really works. I said, really? People hire temporary people to sit in sales offices? That's ludicrous. I'm waiting for ludicrous to pop in.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I could try.
Not yet.
I can make that work.
So, I the more we talked, the more I really believed that was a program that really did work, and she showed me that, and sure enough, it took off. And I really enjoyed working with her. I've always, Cheryl's one of my mentors that I always look up to, and the opportunity to work with her again. I did join her group knowing that she would eventually sell it to me because she did want to get back into the home building industry. And I did purchase it from her in 2017, I'm thinking, or 18. And then at that point, I unfranchised it from J. Williams Staffing to Peak Staffing. So we are 100% local Colorado.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So just kind of 30,000-foot view of exactly what you do is, correct me if I'm wrong, but you take people, or you have jobs with your partners that are builders and potentially other associates as well, but mainly builders, and they need temporary work or temporary salespeople, and you go out and you find employment for those people, and then some are temporary to permanent jobs, some are just temp jobs, right? Am I missing anything?
No, you pretty much hit it on the head, Riley. So what we do is a builder has a need, and they have their own on-site salespeople. And when they have their 2 days off or vacations, or their kids are sick, or the dog is sick in Colorado, as you will, they contact Peak Staffing Group, and we find an employee to fill their office while they're away. And I've done, oh my gosh, I don't remember what I told you guys, but I mean, 40, 50,000 hours over the last 10, 12 years.
220,000.
220,000.
220,000.
I didn't times it right.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of hours.
That's
a lot of work.
hours.
So it's fun. I love it when I get people to go to work, and they're so thankful. Right? I mean, it's still not a great economy right now. I mean, we're doing okay, but the people are just so thankful that they get to go out there and make some money and take care of themselves and their families.
Are you contacting the people who you're staffing, or are they contacting you looking for work, or a little bit of both?
My employees?
Yes.
So 90%, almost 90% of my employees are referrals. So what happens is somebody will go out to a sales office, and if one of my employees are covering that office, they ask them, how do you get into this? And they say, well, you got to talk to Philip at Peak Staffing. He'll put you to work. So 90% of my people that work for me have heard through the grapevine it's a great place to start if they either want to I call it make a little beer money, or actually try a career in on-site sales. And over the years, not only the 220,000 hours of putting people to work, but I've put hundreds of people to work full-time with builders, and they're still thriving today. They look back and like, I wouldn't have been able to do it with you. And I'm not patting myself on the back. I just put them in the right place at the right time, gave them some tools during the training, and they took it from there. And it's been a big life changer for people.
And then mainly you're working with builders, right? But you also do a little bit of work with title companies, right?
Yes. So during the Great Recession, after that, when I had Peak Staffing Group, things dried up with COVID, right? I went from billing 800 hours a week to 8 hours a week. So there were a lot of grilled cheese sandwiches and ramen noodles during that time. Thank goodness the interest rates dropped tremendously. So it was refi, and I'm thinking, how do I get part of that? So I started talking to title companies and lenders, and I said, do you need notaries? And they said, absolutely. People aren't coming in anymore because of the COVID. You're doing sidewalk closings, you're doing patio closings, you're doing, the most bizarre place. One I remember was over here in Greenwood Village. This lady would not let me in her house. It was snowing out. It was freezing cold out. She made me sit on her back patio with the sliding glass door open when she sat inside. I was frozen and cold by the time I was done.
Wow.
And that was COVID times doing notary work. So I did. I reached out to my employees and I said, hey, this is what our transition is going to be. Who wants to do this? And I had 20 employees saying, I want to do it. So I taught them how to go to Secretary of State, get certified to be a notary, and it took off from there. And we're still rolling today.
And then mainly then title companies in builders. Do you work with anybody else in the industry as far as staffing?
I do. Anybody that really touches the industry, whether it's trades or suppliers. I had a lumber company that needed an internal salesperson. And she tried the new home sale side, but it didn't work for her because she had small kids and she didn't want to work weekends. So when a builder came to, or a lumber supplier came to me and he says, I really need a strong inside salesperson. And I said, well, I think I have the candidate for you. And I said, I don't think she knows what a 2x4 is, but she's got a great personality. She knows how to sell. You just need to show her what to sell. Right now, she's probably one of their top salespeople today.
Attitude goes a long ways.
Attitude. I say this in my training in my new home sales. 86% of the time, people get hired because of their attitude, 14% because of what they know.
Right. Yeah, which is absolutely true. I'd like to also expand on, so one thing that, our viewers in the audience or even potential employees may not know is when you place these people, meaning on this is specifically for the sales side for builders and stuff, and they're in there selling the models and stuff, tell me the licensing requirements of it as being able to sell real estate at that time.
So that's one of the blessings we have in Colorado. If you work for a new home builder, the new home builder carries the license. And their team, on-site salespeople that are employees, they don't. If you go work for a builder, you are usually asked to put your real estate license on ice because it is somewhat of a conflict of interest if you're representing yourself as a realtor while selling homes for a builder. There's a handful of states that still don't require that you have to be a licensed realtor selling for a new home builder. So that gives people the advantage of getting into the industry without having to go through the rigorous testing and everything else through DORA. And, it's a long road. And
Licensing, expenses.
Yeah.
The barrier to entry on this, obviously I know what it is for the more. You're talking $1,000 plus.
Right.
Not to mention, if I'm not mistaken, it's 40 hours of education.
If not more.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of people try to do it online at self-pace, and those are the ones that don't make it.
Yep.
Because you have to be disciplined. You have to open your computer and sit down and dedicate your time to do that. And mostly those people finally end up going to the classroom.
Right.
Because you have to be there. You have to learn. And, it's just an easier course.
So a better way to do it, obviously, is someone who is interested in getting into the real estate business and selling it, call you.
Yes.
It's an easy, hey, look, I'm going to put you into the office of a builder. This is what selling real estate is going to be like. If you like it, it could be a stepping stone on greater things and go on from there.
Yeah. I tell them, I said, you could send your resume to all 50 builders here in Denver and you might get a call back because they're extremely busy. They've got so many things going on. But once I put you on site with a builder, that's when you can make a name for yourself. That's when you get the exposure. And again, some people want that career path, and other people just, they want to get away from their husband, dog, or wife for a day, right? Just to get out of the house.
Not me.
Me neither.
Okay.
I love staying at home.
Okay, good.
I don't have a dog. I love staying home with my wife. Thanks, Danny.
Just to make it clear, because my wife watches these things.
I saw her the other day. Yeah. That's right.
So then you're a big, avid member of the HBA, multiple different HBAs here in Colorado. We're members of the HBA of Metro Denver. And so you're also involved with Northern Colorado and the Springs, correct?
Yeah, I was a member of Northern Colorado and as well as Colorado Springs. And what I came to find out, in my role of putting people to work in builder sales offices, most of the corporate offices were here in Denver. So I supported them to the point where I just didn't see as much return as I wanted. I'm really known more by the HBA of Metro Denver. And just being involved with that, Riley, it speaks volumes. I mean, you're at event after event after event, and you're just the people that they begin to know, right? It's like, oh, I remember Philip at that last event, and I really need a new accountant, or I need temp staffing this weekend, or something. And the HBA does that. I mean, it gets your name out there. It gets you in front of people. I'm presently an advisory board member at the Sales and Marketing Council. who is up again for the national award. I think we've won that, I want to say 8 out of the last 10 years or something like that nationally. So it's a very strong organization, and I'm really proud to be a part of that.
Yeah. Well, that's a great accomplishment.
Yes.
So, and then going back to it, actually, you brought up CPAs. Kind of, is there a wider net there on what are some of the positions, for example, that builders may look for? Because in this time right now, I mean, there's, we've seen a lot of layoffs. People are going to be looking for jobs. One of the biggest, places that they're going to go are staffing companies because, they want to be able to cast as wide of a net as they possibly can. So what are some of the, professions and stuff that you're thinking that, you guys are able to cover and help place in different positions?
Oh, I would say pretty much any of them. I always say, give me a call, and the good Lord works in mysterious ways. I'll get a call from a builder saying, I need some help in my accounting department, and two weeks later, I run into somebody. They're like, hey, I'm looking for an accounting job, and I look up and I go, thank you. I swear, it happens more often than not.
Put it out there.
It happens more often than not. But I've hired anywhere from the accounting side to the executive roles to superintendents, architecture, interior design, pretty much anything that touched this industry. I have a network that I can use to reach out to people. Now, one thing I'm wise about, most of the builders here in Denver are my clients. I will never go fishing in their ponds. It makes no sense for me to go hardcore recruiting to pull people out of their company
Right.
while they're feeding my other hand on their temporary staffing side. That's just not good business. So I've always told them that, and I stick by that rule. I will never do it.
Great rule to follow.
Yeah, because if you are, I mean, I'm sure a lot of your clients are competitors, so that definitely is a factor.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I always say that in my sales training to my employees, I say we have a fiduciary responsibility to our clients. We want them to sell homes. And if they're selling homes, they're hiring us. And if one of my employees are on-site staffing in a temporary position, and they get somebody up to a sale of a home, and that on-site salesperson says it's my day off, tell them to come back tomorrow, I will say, call me. I'll call the VP of sales, and I will make sure that somebody finds a person to go out there and write a contract. You don't let them. You don't let them swim around for a while. Once the hook is in, you go. Right?
Right.
Yeah. So that's my commitment to the builders. I want to make sure that they're successful because without their success, of course, I wouldn't be sitting in front of you two gentlemen today.
Yeah.
Vice versa, yeah.
Yep. Makes all the sense in the world. But the one I would want to emphasize, the one thing that I appreciate with how you do it with your company, it's not do as I say and without you doing it, you're actually doing it, getting your feet wet, getting involved in these positions that are available. So you've got that experience. You know exactly what's going on. You're not just having people kind of throwing them into a position to where they don't get any education or they don't understand what's going on. You've been there, you've done it. Give us a little bit more about that.
Well, I think the advantage for how I've got to where I've been is I got my feet wet in pretty much everything. I say everything but land. I never got in the middle of land deals or land development or anything like that. But from architecture to construction to purchasing to warranty to risk management, stormwater management, I've had my hands in all of that, and it's easy to educate people on those different areas. And what I face a lot of is these young folks coming out of college and they want to be the owner and the president tomorrow. I said, you got to pick up a broom first, and then you'll work your way up the ladder, right? I've had some individuals that have been hired by a company on the sales side through me, and I said, look, you got to eat a lot of what was my term?
Crow.
Well, yeah, that too. So I always tell my folks, I'm like, you can eat a lot of peanut butter and jelly before you get to the steak in a sales position, right? You've got to build your clientele. You've got to be there a while. You're going to be an assistant, and you're going to make good money as an assistant, but stick with it. And in 3 or 4 years, you're going to be doing good. And it's unfortunate that the younger crowd, that my younger generation that joins me, they just don't have that patience, and I can appreciate that, right? Peanut butter and jelly gets pretty old over a couple of years, but it's just doing your time, making that relationship, having a great attitude, and that really gets them there. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but it's just everybody's a salesperson. We were born salespeople, right? We came into this world, we cried, and we got fed. That was a good sales pitch for a baby, right?
Yep.
They got something.
Right.
So I tell people that. I'm like, you're all natural born salespeople. It's what you put behind it. It's like remembering people's names. I always ask, who's good at remembering names? And nobody raises their hand. I said, you know why? Because you're not making it a priority. Make it a priority to remember people's names. That's so important when you're in a sales position because people like hearing their names. People think you take a general interest in them. And it just helps them tremendously, whether it's in a social setting or a business setting. My wife, Barb, right, Danny? And, we always play this game once in a while. You are at an event. And you're like, I know that person. I know that person. So we're going to go up and we're going to do this dumb game. Like, hi, good to see you again. And then you hope that he looks at Barb and says, hi. Or I say, hey, this is Barb. And he goes, oh, hi, Barb. And he doesn't say his name. And now I got to talk to this guy that I don't know. And I'm like, no, you're supposed to say, hi, Barb, I'm John. I'm like, thank goodness I knew you were John. So sometimes the tricks work, sometimes the tricks don't work. But anyway.
And you still have to sell your way through it no matter what.
You got to sell your way through it. It's like, so how you been? How's business? What did you do?
For sure.
Yeah,
so
you got to work through it.
Just changing gears a little bit, right? So one of your most recent endeavors is as a community manager for Berkeley Homes, right, and the Prairie community that you got over there. And you've sold 16 homes so far, right, in today's kind of challenging market. So will you
Very challenging.
Yeah, break that down a little bit and tell us why and how you got into that?
Well, my other 3 gigs that I run wasn't enough, so
More on your plate.
Yeah,
that's what a businessman does.
Yeah, so I talked about needing a little more structure in my life because the nice thing with staffing and the notary work is it's kind of when it's there, it's there. You could I could work anywhere in the United States or the world for all that matter. If I have internet, computer, phone, I could do it anywhere. So I found myself on the golf course probably a little bit too much, and I thought, okay, I need some structure here. I need something 10 to 5, 10 to 6, something like that. So the owner of Berkeley Homes contacted me, and he said, I've got a sales opportunity out here in Painted Prairie. Is this something you might be interested in? And I said, well, I think I am. And after meeting with him a couple of times, the second time he looked at me, he goes, are you sure you want to do this? I said, let's do it. And it's been fun.
Yeah.
It's been what I've been preaching to all these employees on how to do it, when to do it, how to act, how to close a sale. And I think that led to my success with turning that community around. And, I think I said 16 sales, but it was actually 19. Unfortunately, you get a can every now and then. Which a can is a cancellation. And those 3 were due to a job change, and the other 2 were financial. So I still sold 19, but in the books it's 16.
Right.
And it's just fun. I love working with the people, and I say, my job is to find a great community for you in a great home with a great mortgage. That's what I want for you guys, and that's it. I don't want anything else. And I'm brutally honest. I said, I hope you buy my home. I want you to feel comfortable with those 3 things. And it usually works out.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So you are one of the things, to kind of get it out there a little bit too, is that, we're going through, economically, we've got kind of Riley's generation and the younger generation looking for jobs. And also we're having, you're seeing some more layoffs and stuff like that. So again, the easiest, you are that middleman. You're sitting in a great spot to be able to help place people, help them out, help, builders out and fulfill a need that's going to be up here soon.
Yes. Yeah. And they're grateful. I mean, they are grateful. Um, we're always hoping the crystal ball makes that interest rate drop more and more and more. And, we're not seeing that. And I don't think we're going to see it this year. Indicators are maybe a tad. And then next week it's maybe not. So, I think probably playing safe for part of the year is not a bad idea. And maybe things will change. Back in the day when everybody walked in and you had a sale. You just wrote a sale, right? I don't know if those days are ever going to come back, but there's got to be some middle ground there, right? Right.
Yeah.
So obviously, I mean, you're training people to do the sales portion. You're setting people up. You've done it before. But I feel like in this industry, what I'm learning is that you never stop learning. So selling these 16 new homes, is there anything that you've learned that you didn't come across or you haven't seen before?
No, I think it's just what I applied. What I apply in my sales, and I give them good tools. I talk about the critical path of sales, but not only the critical path of sales, but I look up to Jeff Shore, who's a national trainer, and his Formula 4.2 and how to make a sale a different way and make it more about the buyer, not more about the builder and you. And once you start that conversation and commitment and trust from that buyer, they look up to you. They're like, I've not heard that before. I mean, this is really what I want, not what you have for me. And that's helped me tremendously. And of course, selling with Berkeley Homes, that's easy. Their quality is unbelievable. Their customer service is unbelievable. They're a small private company, so there's some things that we get to do with finishes and stuff like that. So that certainly didn't hinder my sales, but it absolutely helped for sure.
And what are you doing in today's tough market to, entice and to bring value to the buyers?
I work closely with our marketing team, and I want to make sure we have the right signage, we have the right collateral, we've got everything up and displayed, we're reaching out. I follow up, and that's critical to sales. You've got to follow up. I've got a stack of registration cards going back to last summer. And I just say, hey, are you still in the market? They're like, yeah, we're still going to sell our house. So the big challenge today that I see is people don't want to divorce their 3.25%.
Definitely.
Mortgage, right?
Yeah, we're seeing the same thing.
Yeah, they want to stay in their comfy little home, think about remodeling it, but it's 3.25%, even though you can go out and get a loan for, a 2-1 buy down, maybe at 5.49%. So you're thinking, okay, how much is it going to cost to remodel? How much appreciation do you have in that home? And how much can you roll over it to a new home that's 20 years newer with 20-year new technology?
Right.
And some people get that, and some people are just staying in their comfort zone. They don't want to leave that. So that's my job to explain. Here's how you can get ahead by doing that. You keep buying up and up and up and up and up. Take that appreciation and apply it, and it's okay. You're going to pay 2% more on your mortgage rates. But, you hear the townhomes. I have a lot of townhome buyers come out and look at my homes. I said, what's your HOA? This is like $400, $500 a month.
Mm-hmm.
I said, ours is $90. You just had $400 more buying power.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that. And you're going to get something out of your HOA.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. That was something that I came across. Me and a few friends actually just bought a house together, and we were looking at townhomes that were $100,000 cheaper purchase price, and then when you look at the HOAs, they were $500, $600, $700 a month. It was making it more than if we were to buy a residential home that was going to be $100,000 more in purchase price. Mm-hmm. So, that's interesting. You got $90 for your HOA fees.
Yeah, $90 takes care of the snow removal, recycling, trash. Can't beat it.
Yeah, that's cheaper than ours. We've been there since '99.
Yeah, that's the cheapest of a townhome that I've heard of around here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Fee simple. It's the way to go,
Yep.
right?
Oh, absolutely is.
Nobody's on either side of your walls. But I will say that we do build some townhomes, and the construction of yesteryear, where you had paired walls, and you're sharing them with your neighbor, and you heard every cabinet drawer shut and every toilet flush and everything else. I mean, the walls between these paired homes today or these townhomes today, they're a lot better.
Yeah.
They're much better.
Technology.
Technology, trust me. Yeah. So again, if you're in a 20, 30-year-old townhome and you're tired of hearing your neighbors snoring, not a bad idea to take that equity and go buy a new home.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, Philip, the other thing that I see that you're also co-owner of the Colorado Construction Network. So can you go into that a little bit, explain what that is and your role that you play in that?
Yeah. So the Colorado Construction Network was developed years ago when there was the writing on the wall that we were going into a recession and we needed to really work together in the industry with our peers. And it's was put together with the thought process of how do we network but not network and put pressure on people to attend our events and lunch and learns and such. So CCN, Colorado Construction Network, we have all sponsors that support it. There's no membership fees, if you will. So we have lunch and learns. We have some fun events like a day at the beach up at A Basin where we take a bus. We throw a bunch of architects, builders, interior designers, land developers, and we just go up there and we have a great time. We've done axe throwing. We did our Big Lebowski bowling last week. The dude showed up, so that was kind of fun. And then we have 4 educational lunch and learns throughout the year. The unique thing about Colorado Construction Network is we have one of each. And what I mean by that, we have one framer, one drywaller, one staffing company, one marketing company, one lender, one mortgage group, and so on and so forth. So we don't compete with each other. And the other thing that we pride ourselves on, it is a non-sell environment. So people can come and relax, right? We go skiing for a day, and you become friends by the end of the day, or you don't. But we hope you become friends at the end of the day, and then later on you're like, man, I remember Eric, that engineer guy, I need some engineering done. And that's how we build relationships. And it's been a fun group to work with. One of the things we also pride ourselves with CCN is we absolutely do not compete with the HBA, because I have a lot of respect for the HBA. So before we schedule our events around their events, because we don't want to tarnish their activity or their numbers of folks attending. So we make sure that we work with them and we do work around their schedule, because we're all in this together, right? I mean,
Yep.
we all need to work together. So it's a fun group to be with. I can't say enough about it. We have so much fun, and it's just a laid back environment.
Well, that's good. Are there any specific industries that you're targeting right now to become members of the CCN?
Great question. Thank you. As far as sponsors, we'd love a plumber. I think we need an excavator. So quite honestly, if you came to CCN and you looked at all of our sponsors, outside of an excavator, you could get a house built from ground to finish.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have a warranty company in the end. So literally, we can build it from foundation all the way to the end with warranty. It's a one-stop shop.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that is cool. Well, if you're a plumber or an excavator, hit us up.
I like it.
Well, Philip, we'll kind of wrap up today, but if our listeners are curious about what you got going on, or they are looking for work, or maybe they're a builder who's looking for somebody to fill in some staff for them, where can they reach you and contact you?
They can reach me at Philip with one L. It's in the good book. There's only one L in Philip. At PSG, that's Peak Staffing Group, Colorado.com. So Philip at PSG Colorado.com. And you can always call my cell phone. I've got 5 numbers ringing into one phone. So 720-318-3997. You could always get a hold of me there.
And then are you guys on social media too? Is that somewhere they could go?
I let my marketing department do that, which is my wife.
Fair enough.
So yes,
Okay.
Facebook. She does all that. Ask her.
Okay. We can do that.
You might interview her next time.
Yeah, that works.
We would take it. Yeah, we'd love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us today. We had a blast, definitely.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I'm always intrigued on listening to you guys, and it's inspiring.
Well,
What
good.
you guys are doing, and I truly appreciate what you are doing for this industry.
Yeah, thank
No
you.
worries.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in. I've been looking forward to it all day.
You bet.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Behind the Home Build, the podcast for all things home building. He's Danny, and I'm Riley, and if you're interested in learning more from experts in the home building community, we're on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcast, and a few others, all at Behind the Home Build Podcast. And if you have any questions at all, make sure to send them our way on Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook at Behind the Home Build Podcast.